In this video, I want to show you how to pass arguments to a function that's bound to a jQuery event handler. The file that I've got open here uses standard JavaScript, and the argument is passed directly to the function between the parentheses like this. You can't do that with a jQuery event handler. Instead, you need to create a data object and pass the data object as an argument to the jQuery event handler. It's not as difficult as it sounds. Let's switch to this page. I've already attached the jQuery core library and created a document-ready handler. To create the data object, I'm going to use an object literal. An object literal is a list of name-value pairs between a pair of curly braces. I need a variable to store the object, so I'm going to call it args, and then open curly brace, and I can put my first property on the next line, and the first property will be called author, and I follow that by a colon, and then the value that I want for it. So the property name doesn't need to be in quotes, but if you have a value which is a string like this, then that does need to be in quotes. Then to separate the properties, comma, and I can go on to the next line, then call the next property course, and add the value. I'm going to put only two properties in this data object, so then close the curly braces, and because it's a declaration, semicolon. So there's my data object with two properties, author and course. Now I'm going to bind a click event to this paragraph here. So $, open parenthesis, and the Dreamweaver gives me the code hints as soon as I type the hash sign. So there's a reference to that paragraph, and bind the click event. You see the code hints give me three options, and it's the second option that I'm going to take because I'm going to pass the event data as the first argument, followed by the name of the function that I'm going to be using as the event handler function. So the data object is called args, and the second argument to the click method, the click event handler, will be receive data. This is the name of a function that I'm going to create, and because I'm only giving a reference to the function that I want to use, I don't need to put a pair of parentheses immediately after that name. You put a pair of parentheses after a function name only when it's being called at that particular point. I'm not calling it at this point, I'm merely binding it as the event handler function. So close the parenthesis there for the click event handler, and then let's just make the cursor turn into a pointer by using the CSS method. I need to add the name of the property I want to affect, which is cursor, and then the value I want to apply to it is pointer. Close the parenthesis and the semicolon. Right, I now need to define the receive data function, and I'm going to define it outside the jQuery document ready handler because it isn't actually needed until somebody clicks on the paragraph. So I can put the function definition outside the handler, and I can still use jQuery because the jQuery core library has already been included at this stage. So function receive data, and the argument I'm going to pass to receive data is going to be the event object. So I'll just put that as the letter E, create the code block that goes inside, And I'm going to append a paragraph to the body of the page with the data that I'm sending with the click event handler. So the way of accessing the body is by creating a selector for body within the jQuery object, and then use the append method. And append will take the HTML that I want to put in here. Create a paragraph tag. And now I'm going to insert the value which has been sent through the data object, and I want to use the course property. And the way in which I access that is through the event object, and then the data property of the event object, followed by the name of the property from my data object. So that's course. So eData course. A little bit more literal text. And then I want the author property from the data object. So again, it's the event object, its data property, and author. So let's see how this works. Save the page and refresh live view and click on show data, and there we are. The values have been passed through the event object, through the data property of the event object, been captured in my function and are now displayed within the page there. Creating a data object to pass arguments to an event handler function might seem an unfamiliar way of doing things when you're used to passing arguments directly to a function, but it's quite a simple process once you know how to do it.